And welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Hal, and with me here today, Jess. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jess, also known as Lavender on YouTube. I edit videos for James, I make my own YouTube poops and AMVs sometimes, and I'm also mostly known as Schaeferless's GF. That's fun.
That's fun. Yeah. You edit for James too. Wow, I have so many James editors on my show. It's like I know them or something.
Whoa.
Suspicious.
No way. Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome, Jess, to the show. We have a couple of movies we got to talk about. Why don't you introduce the first movie? The movie that I'm sure you're like the biggest, the person most associated with this movie. I'll just leave it at that.
As soon as I was done doing my intro, I thought to myself, oh, I should have introduced myself as the Romeo and Juliet Seal movie enthusiast.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a 2006 film, animated and directed by Phil Nibelink, called Romeo and Juliet, Sealed with a Kiss. It is about Romeo and Juliet, but they are seals.
Yep.
Animated all in Flash by just one guy on a tablet or something.
Yeah. No, yeah. So you really wanted to talk about this, because you've kind of just like, I don't remember when exactly did you introduce this movie to us? Because I feel like it's hasn't been a while, but it has. You know, it's just always kind of been there.
Okay, so over winter break, like around Thanksgiving, my friends and I were having a movie night. My friends from high school, like in person. And we were talking about what movie to watch, and I was like, we should watch Freebirds, because Thanksgiving, you know, it's the movie where they go back in time to get turkeys off the menu. And they were like, that sounds dumb. That sounds like that Romeo and Juliet Seal movie. And I was like, there's a what?
Wait, that's how they related it to Freebirds?
Yeah,
you know,
that's how I first found out about this movie.
You know, it's funny, actually, because on my most recent rewatch, I was really paying attention to like the tree on the top of the mountain, like in the Seal movie, and I'm like, that looks suspiciously like the tree on the edge of the cliff in Freebirds. So, oh wow, I didn't realize the similarities ended there.
Yeah, the cinematic parallels.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, okay, we have to watch this at our movie night now. So we did, and it was amazing, and I became obsessed with the Seal movie. I made an AMV. I made a YouTube poop collab. I had a movie night with James, and a couple of my other friends watched it when he came to visit me in December, and then we watched it in the Chuzzle Nation server. Yeah, and as a double feature with Lion King 2 for the Disney sequel ranking. Yeah,
that's and right. It was on the same night as Lion King 2.
Right? And then this week was my 4th time watching it now.
4th time. Wow. That's just regular old Faust for you, I guess.
It's a normal amount.
Yeah, it's a normal amount. Yeah. Oh, you know, I'm going to be honest. I think the movie is fine, all things considered. You know, judging it as a film, you know, I'm using my critical sense. I'm using my critical brain here. I'm like, wow, this is a good movie, I guess. But like once you do realize that it was animated and just the whole thing was done by one guy, or like 90% of it was done by one guy, you're just like, okay, it's a little more impressive considering just like the fact that it's like an actual movie.
It's so weird because I can't tell half the time whether I'm enjoying it ironically or unironically.
That's like, a good point too. Yeah.
On this watch, I was like, wow, so many of these jokes are actually intentionally funny, and yet at the same time, there's so much animation that looks like bad or weird, or like the audio and the deliveries are weird, when the like sound effects are generic and the plot is ridiculous, but I just love every minute of it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Some of the jokes you're just like, like it's a kid's movie, but then other times it's just like, Capulet genocide joke.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
And you're like,
okay.
What?
Yeah.
Especially the Mercutio jokes. He was probably my favorite voice actor in the movie. Half of his jokes weren't that funny. Like, they're just the like seagulls fly over the bay, bagels, ha ha ha, jokes you probably already heard before. But he delivered them so well. Like, he was committed.
Yeah.
In a way
No,
no other actor in this movie really felt like they were.
yeah, there's a lot of awkward voice acting. I mean, from pretty obvious child actors like Kissy the Kissing Fish, which honestly, Kissy was just so bafflingly awful that it came back around to just every time. Yeah, to being really funny. Like, every time she was on screen, I'm just like, good Lord, like, this is what am I watching?
What's going on?
Yeah. And the fact that she references the Terminator like 3 different times, I'm just like, what is going on?
I can't tell if that part was improvised or not, because I heard that a lot of her dialogue was just Phil Nibbelink's like 5-year-old daughter making up random stuff, which makes a lot of the parts in the middle make more sense.
That makes sense, yeah. That does
she's
that
like,
does not
"Are
surprise
you
me.
having a baby? I don't like stinky babies. P.U. Can I be your baby?"
Yeah, you're just
Ugh. Ugh.
You know, you don't have to give a 5-year-old the microphone. I think that's how they got most of the dialogue for Boo and Monsters Inc. But, you know, that was kind of the point of Monsters Inc. was having that little girl just like make random babbling noises, and then they animated around that. But, well, I think that's what they did here. They animated around that, but then they actually had the story weigh in on what she's actually saying, and she's just saying incomprehensible nonsense. So then it's like the movie kind of reflects that at points.
Yep.
Oh my god. You know, yeah, and then the rest of the voice acting isn't great either. Like, what was it, Benvolio? Like, he just, I can see the voice the actor's going for.
Mercutio, we're sea slugs.
Yeah, but like, I'm like looking at the letterbox list, and this guy who voiced Benvolio hasn't really been in anything else other than a bunch of Jungle Book movies. What the hell?
Huh?
I'm just looking at this now. But these are like really low budget Jungle Book movies. Yeah, I mean, you look at the whole cast list of actors for this movie, they haven't done much. I guess the only other notable voice actor would be Phil the man himself.
Woo!
Voices the
prince,
the prince, the evil racist
elephant
pedophile. Yeah. Which was, yeah, like, I'm surprised they inserted a villain in the Romeo and Juliet mythos.
I don't know. It works surprisingly well. They combine the prince and Tybalt into one character. I mean, not Tybalt, the prince and Paris into one character.
I vaguely remember those characters.
I've taken
from Romeo
4
and Juliet.
Collegiate Shakespeare classes.
Yeah, so you know more about this than I do.
Yeah, this is the pinnacle of me using my degree, analyzing the Romeo and Juliet Seal movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing with this movie. I'm not a fan of the story of Romeo and Juliet, so when I say this is the best version of Romeo and Juliet I've seen, I'm not joking.
You know what? You are so valid.
I mean, Shakespeare I rarely have an opinion on, because I did read a bunch of Shakespeare in high school, you know, because I was required to, but like no Shakespeare story ever really stuck with me. I would say maybe Romeo and Juliet is the only one I really hated, because I don't remember hating like Macbeth or Hamlet or Julius Caesar, but I don't remember loving them either. So much so, I don't even think I read Macbeth in high school, now that I'm actually thinking about it. So that might just be a false memory.
Oh, I did sophomore year. Yeah, it's a good one.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen the Joel Cohen Macbeth movie, the one that came out a couple years ago with Denzel Washington. Like, that was really good.
Am I allowed to share one of James's opinions on Shakespeare, or are his fans gonna get mad?
He's not here, so no, you're not allowed. No, I'm kidding. Aww. Please do. Dish.
Yeah,
dish.
He revealed to me that he's a fan of the story of Macbeth, but he watched like a movie adaptation, and the one thing he said he couldn't get behind was the language, and I was like, ugh, scandalized. Like,
yeah.
No, it's all about the language.
Well, yeah, because that's the point, because it was written in a different time. So, like, the language
Hmm.
is going to be a little advanced and you're not going to really get it at first. But I guess it's like something you got to get into on multiple
Hmm.
rewatches, which is a little difficult when you're kind of bored the first time. So I kind of get that. But also, James is over party. Can't believe you would say that.
Yeah. Oh man, there
Uh,
are actually ways in which this is a good adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, or at least better than others I've seen, like I don't know, Romeo and Juliet or something. Like they keep in a lot of crucial stuff and like some lines of dialogue are adapted pretty well, I think.
are you implying Romeo and Juliet is a bad
I
adaptation?
haven't watched it in years, so I
I
don't
haven't watched
know.
it ever.
Yeah. But I just
The only
remember a lot of stuff was like cut or simplified or just like random and didn't make sense to
yeah.
me.
Yeah, the only other Romeo and Juliet adaptation I have seen is the Baz Luhrmann one from the 90s, and I hated it. Just like excruciatingly hated it. It was so
Hmm.
bad. I don't like it. And I don't know if it's just because maybe I have the same James problem where I don't understand the language, but like it was also just really boring and really awkward that Leonardo DiCaprio is like in this contemporary 90s aesthetic, but then he's talking like an old Shakespearean actor. It just didn't fit.
Yeah.
Um Whereas I feel like this one, yes, it does have lines lifted from the original Romeo and Juliet, but it's able to use them a little
Hmm.
more cleverly and like
Yeah.
actually kind of like integrate it into like more of a modern day speaking, even
Yeah,
though
there were
they're
specific lines I
seals.
could point to, like when Romeo's like, "Oh, he knows nothing of love." I was like, "Oh, that's the part where he's like he jests at scars that never felt a wound or whatever."
Right. I remember that part. I don't. Again though, like I'm not the like you are clearly an expert on this, so like you can pick up on stuff like that, whereas me I can't, but I can still like appreciate what the movie's going for because I
Hmm.
know the vague plot points of Romeo and Juliet. They meet, they're forbidden star-crossed lovers.
Hmm.
There's that friar character who's an otter in this one,
Yeah, he's
Friar
an otter. In
Lawrence.
Romeo and Juliet, I think he's a lawn flamingo.
I haven't seen Romeo and Juliet, but I'll take your word
Okay.
on that.
I haven't seen it in years, so I'm just going off how I remember it.
The extent of my knowledge of Romeo and Juliet is in the sequel there's a scene where one of the characters says no ship Sherlock, and that is just a gif that's been spread around my Discord server like a million times to the point that I just say it unknowingly. I'll just be like no ship Sherlock, and I'm like, wait, shit, I've never seen the movie and yet this is now part of my vocabulary and every
Yup.
day. Like,
I haven't seen Sherlock Gnomes either.
clearly we're behind
Hmm.
on the art of today.
Yeah, one day. One day.
One
But we're
day.
talking about Seal movie now.
So we're talking about Seal movie, yeah.
Romeo and
Uh
Juliet Seal movie.
yeah, you know what? It's called Romeo and Juliet Sealed with a Kiss, but I just instinctively call it Romeo and Juliet Seal movie because of that edit you made. Like and I try to say it
Thank
in the way
you.
just cuz it's I love sentence mixing
I love
jokes like
sentence
that.
mixing too.
Just because of the absurdity of like how different cuz like that's not
Hmm.
the way the sentence was said, but like it
Yeah.
just kind of adds to the comedy.
Hmm.
Yeah, Romeo and
The
Juliet Seal
wacky
movie.
intonation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say like the animation. I wanted to talk a little bit about that, if we could.
Okay.
Uh, it is good. The fact that it's all one guy, it's on Flash, but the facial expressions are
Hmm.
godlike. They're so funny at times.
Yeah.
Like there's that one scene. There's the scene where they like get married for the first time,
Oh, and
and like
Friar Lawrence has that like look on his face, his like eyes are narrowed and he has that smirk.
yeah, like all three of those characters look high, and you see like there's smoke everywhere, so it just adds to the comedy of that. It's so funny.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't tell if that was supposed to be for comedy, but
I
I
mean, I
there
don't
was
think so, but that kind of adds to it.
there was
The
a
fact
really
that it
funny
wasn't.
joke right before it where like Romeo Seal and Juliet Seal are like kissing repeatedly and the friar's like, I can see you're in a hurry. I'll try to make this quick.
Okay, so that's an actual joke, but then like the facial
Yeah.
expressions are so goddamn unintentionally funny that
Yeah.
that's also funny. So it's like these different layers of comedy for this movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that's so ridiculous.
Yeah. What do you think of the character design, speaking of the animation?
Um, I mean, I think it's a little simplistic.
Yeah.
And I mean that as both a good and bad thing, because like I feel like they're simplistic enough that they're easier to
To
draw.
animate.
They're
Yeah.
easier to animate for sure. You can definitely tell. But like, I mean, some of the more like I think some of the other character designs are good. Like I'm thinking of Friar Lawrence, like how he's
Mm-hmm.
like this old man and he has like the mustache that makes
Yeah.
it look like he has like the mustache
He
of
looks
the
like the Lorax.
he looks like the Lorax. I was also gonna say he looks like the father from Cinderella, with like the big bushy mustache.
The king's dad or Cinderella's dad?
The king from
Okay, yeah, the king,
Cinderella.
yeah.
Yeah. If
Mm-hmm.
anything goes wrong, yeah, I love that line of his. Um, but yeah, like but like when you think of like the other seal characters, like Romeo is pretty simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
Mercutio is pretty
It's just a
simplistic.
blob, like little mushroom shaped head
Yeah,
and
and
like
then
seal body.
yeah, and then Benvolio is just like fat seal.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the Benvolio fat jokes. Nah.
Yeah, they don't really do much of anything with those jokes. They're just like, "Hey, he's
They're
fat." It's
they're
like,
just
okay,
there.
yeah, they're just there. um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I like the prince and just how like big and bulbous his nose is. Because it really kind of adds to like this like gigantic character. But I feel like anything beyond that is just kind of fine. Again, these are not bad character designs by any means.
Mm-hmm.
They're just simplistic. And
Yeah.
considering the fact that it was just one guy working on them,
Yeah.
they kind of had to be. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it works for what it is.
Yeah. I'm still trying to decide how I feel about them. The first time I watched this movie at the beginning with the fight with all the like copy pasted Capulet and Montague seals, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to tell these characters apart. Oh no. But then I kind of
Yeah.
figured it out.
Yeah, I mean the major characters definitely have distinct looks to them. Even like the dad characters, like the Romeo's dad and Juliet's dad, like they look distinct from other seals, but then when it's like, the background seals, it is
Mm-hmm.
just copy and pasted over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
And
Yeah.
Romeo seal and Juliet seal look the exact same, just different colors, and Juliet seal has eyelashes.
Yeah, that's how you know she's a girl seal.
Yeah. Oh well, at least they didn't make her pink with a big bow.
I was gonna say, like, actually, they should have just put a pink bow on her, so then I definitely know she's a girl seal. Oh man, yeah. No, I found it really funny when you could definitely tell when like two like you were saying with like at the beginning when like the seals are fighting, you can definitely see like the um different sequences of animation that he just copy and pasted of like two
Yep.
seals just like fighting and like it reverses and then like it goes back and forth and it's like the same like movements and you're just like uh-huh. And like the same thing whenever like the seals are dancing.
Oh yeah, yeah, the Capulet
Especially
party.
yeah, the Capulet party and especially like at the end, like at the end dance sequence, which I'm now just realizing this movie falls into the classic trap of
Ending with
dance
a dance
sequence.
party.
Yeah, ending dance parties. God damn
That
it.
happened in Shakespeare Plays too, though.
Okay, so clearly Shakespeare was ripping off robots. Okay, good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where they'd have a big like dance curtain call.
I mean, it makes sense. Like in some movies, it makes more sense than others to end on like a dance party. But then other times it's just like, oh, you're just doing it because it's the ending of a movie and you're a kids movie and you have nothing else to offer. I
Mm-hmm.
guess. I guess it works here though, thinking about it, because it's like, okay, Romeo and Juliet are alive and like the two feuding families are no longer feuding, so they just are like, let's get along now, let's have a party to
Yeah.
symbolize our
Wow.
getting along now. Yeah.
Friar Lawrence has this moment that's like, look, this is punishment for your hatred. Look what is done. They're dead, but then they aren't dead anymore.
Yeah.
Cause Romeo didn't poison himself with real poison. He just like kissed Juliet and got the fake poison off her lips.
Yeah, so clearly this is where the this movie differs from the classic Romeo and Juliet. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
clearly the fact that they're seals differs from the original already, but this is where it really differs from the original in
Oh
that they
yeah.
don't die at the end. Which I kind of get. It is a kids movie. That would be extraordinarily harsh for a kids movie if the two main characters just died.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, the way they do that is weird because it's like, here, Juliet, drink this potion that makes it look like you do die, but you don't. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Like,
And then
what's your
Friar
plan
Lawrence
here?
tries to go warn Romeo, like, hey, she's not actually dead, but then he gets chased by a shark,
But
which
then
I
he gets
find
chased by a shark.
funnier
Yeah.
and kind of a more satisfying explanation than what happened in the play with his letter getting delayed.
Oh. Wait, is that the actual explanation?
Yeah, he like gives this other bishop a letter to go deliver to Romeo to explain everything that he's doing, but then there's like the plague or something. The other bishop can't go deliver the letter, and then Romeo doesn't find out.
SMH, the post office pissing me off once again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes a little more sense. I mean, you can't really have a
Mhm.
shark show up in the original of Romeo
What was
and
his name?
Juliet.
Friar John? Yeah.
Was it Friar John? I don't remember.
Friar John was the guy who was supposed to deliver the letter.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a shark in this one, and this is where Kissy brings in her schoolmates, and they're all just
the only point where Kissy is plot relevant.
Yeah, and they're all clones of her. Like, what was that all about?
She says they're from her school, and then this is the Kissy the kissing fish lore that happens in the credits. She's like, you know what kind of fish I am? I'm a kissing fish, and nobody knows my name, but you can call me Kissy.
Yeah, that's when we find out this character's name is at the end credits.
Yep.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Nobody knows her real name, though.
No.
But they still say in the opening narration that Romeo and Juliet Seal are star-crossed, even though star-crossed means, like, fated to not work out in the end.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah,
okay.
like their stars are crossed.
Okay, you know what? I didn't even really think about what that actually meant. I was just saying it because it's like, oh, that gets brought up when talking about Romeo and Juliet. But you know what? That's a good point. Yeah, they wouldn't star-crossed, meaning they wouldn't work out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that actually I guess that ties into the cultural gaslighting we've been doing to ourselves with Romeo and Juliet, because I feel like from a young age I knew of Romeo and Juliet and like how that's kind of the quintessential like lovey-dovey nature of relationships is through Romeo and Juliet, but then you get to high school and you realize, oh, they die at the end.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah, I guess this is like a Frankenstein's monster type of thing where we've like culturally gaslit ourselves into thinking the creature is named Frankenstein when it's not. It's the name of the doctor.
The other big one in this play is people not really knowing the meaning of wherefore.
I mean, yeah, wherefore. That's a good one. I mean, because nobody really says wherefore anymore.
Yeah,
like,
it meant
why would you?
Except now I think people think it just means where. And this movie is guilty of this too at points where Mercutio's like, where are you, my Romeo? But at least he says where. And then there's one point at the end where Friar Lawrence is like, Romeo, wherefore art thou?
Oh my god. Phil, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm
so
kidding.
Juliet's asking, like, why are you Romeo? Because, like, why does your name have to be the name of my enemy? Like, they're divided by their names. Whereas in this movie, they're divided by their colors.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. You want them to be different colored seals to differentiate the Capulets and the Montagues. But, like, white versus brown, Phil?
Yeah. It makes
minute.
That makes the balcony scene so awkward when Juliet's like, what's in a color? Oh, Romeo, if only you could change your color.
Yeah. If only you were white like me. Wait a minute.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, no, Phil, no.
Phil, no.
Oh, no. I'm sure it was all unintentional.
Probably.
Sure. Like there's no way. I don't get that vibe from this movie. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh no.
still love James's review of this movie on Letterboxd where he's like, Mrs. Obama, I've done it. I've stopped seal racism.
Stop seal racism. Yeah, I'm proud of my most recent review where I was quoting Romeo's dad, because every time he was on screen, the actor just had to be like, Romeo, my son. I just love the line read of that.
I love his delivery when Romeo dies. He's just like, oh no. Anyway,
he's like, oh no, Romeo. Like, oh dude, but like this ties back into the voice acting.
You're just like, died. Are you gonna show any emotion?
At least an oh no, or like a tear, maybe. I don't know, something other than Romeo, my son. Oh, it's everything. There's so many little details to this movie that, like, when you point them out, you're just like, this is bizarre. Like you're so right. I can see why you've, like, you know, attached yourself to this movie. Why, right? Like you live and breathe this movie. It fascinates
me to no
end.
End.
Yeah, no, it is fascinating.
I want to put it on a petri dish and look at it under a microscope.
Yeah, underneath a film microscope, for sure. Yeah. Well, that's why this is what the podcast is all about. This is our microscope looking into the petri dish. Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to say? Because I've pretty much run out of things.
I have a long list. Let's see.
No, please, by all means, keep going.
I wrote, I don't like how they pronounce Mercutio in my notes.
And was it? Well, how did they say it? They said Mercutio, right?
They said Mercutio.
Mercutio. Okay.
I don't know which one's more accurate. I guess this play does take place in Verona, but in this movie, it takes place in, like, the sea. So,
yeah, the ocean. I don't know how they pronounce things.
Shark Island.
Yeah, Shark Island.
We can't not talk about Shark Island.
It's so funny, Shark Island. It's just a shark fin.
Yep. And apparently the design of Shark Island, like, changes slightly every time it's on screen.
You know, you're honestly right, because I feel like the fin at the beginning is a lot thicker.
That's
whereas,
something
like,
my friend pointed out when they showed this movie to me.
Yeah, like later on in the movie, it looks a lot thinner. Like, it looks like the sort of like the mountain in Nightmare Before Christmas, except it doesn't, like, curl or anything. Like, yeah. Oh wow. It's just hitting me that, like, yeah, they did look different.
Yeah. And then there's the fact they also pointed out to me that there's a, like, whole entire chicken, like a rotisserie looking chicken that's just floating underwater in the shipwreck scene.
I noticed that. Yeah. I was gonna say something while watching it again with buddies, but I completely forgot. But yeah, there's just a whole ass chicken just like still at the bottom of I mean, it said Neptune. I thought it was the Titanic at first. Yeah.
Right.
I guess that would have been in bad taste.
Yeah, because they do the little Titanic thing.
Right, yeah, then they do the King of the World thing.
Yeah. That wasn't in the play.
No.
And then they have their little, like, dance bit after they get married where Juliet slaps Romeo for no reason. I wrote in my notes, why does she slap him? Like, he kisses her on the cheek and then she slaps him and falls to the ground, and then they dance more and then she kisses him on the cheek, and it's like, oh, what? Okay.
Was that at the racism club? When they're dancing at the club? Okay, yeah. And then everybody in that club is just racist? Yeah, okay.
Except for Kissy.
Except for Kissy.
And then a literal shrimp is like, quiet, you shrimp.
Yeah. Quiet, you shrimp. Oh, that got me good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, wait, we didn't talk about the songs in this.
Oh, yeah. I forgot this was a musical song. Yeah. This was a musical movie, because the first song is just Romeo singing. He's not really,
I think the first song is actually the strongest musically, because it has the little backup vocals of the do-do-do-do, 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 wow, wow. That's actually pretty catchy.
Yeah, that's good. But then, like, Romeo himself, like, the actor's just kind of talking
there's, like,
instead
no
of
melody.
Really singing. Yeah, there is no melody, so it's just kind of awkward. And then and then the villain gets his own song.
Oh,
where it's just him in a suit and he's driving a yacht.
Ooh, baby, I got style.
It's just wow. Okay.
Yeah, and the like starfish show up to sing about how hot the seal is.
Yeah, and then he's bathing in lava. It's
Yup.
just oh my goodness. Like I get it. He's bathing in lava and he's hot, but then he's also very self-centered. So, very clever,
Yeah.
Phil. I like that.
You know what? Yeah. Can't tell if I like that song ironically or unironically either.
I don't remember the melody of it, so I don't
Juliet and I are getting married tonight. Ooh, baby, baby, that's all right. What a sight. Ooh, baby, baby, gonna look just right tonight.
I like the idea of giving the villain a song. I just don't remember the song all that much. Although now that you've sung it, I guess I do now. So, all right, I've been
remember
converted.
everything.
It's a good song. I know you remember everything. That's why I brought you on to talk about this
Then
movie.
there's their
You,
love
you
duet,
remember
Lucky
everything.
Star.
Oh yeah. Oh, and they're flying through space.
Yeah, that one's very confused.
Yeah. How are they flying through space? I mean, I get it. They're not actually flying through
I
space.
meant the
but
melody's very confused.
That too. That too.
Like, it
Yeah,
does
no, you're
sound
right.
a little bit like they're making it up as they go along.
What? No.
Which is how all the direct-to-DVD sequel Disney movie songs sounded in,
Very
like,
true.
Belle's Magical World.
I don't even remember the music in Belle's Magical World.
Yeah, because it just sounds like the voice actors are making up the song as they go along.
I mean, yeah, they probably are because, well, it's Belle's Magical World, the complete opposite of the original Beauty and the Beast. But we're not there yet. Yeah, I guess one other thing I wanted to bring up about this movie, about Phil mainly, is he has been on the show before. I've brought up a movie on this show before that he's been a part of because he co-directed Marmaduke 2022, which is kind of a staple around this show now because I talked about that godforsaken movie. But yeah, when I watched that movie and immediately after the directed part, it said co-directed by Phil Nibelink, I was like, you don't understand. Like, that was like a genuine like punch to the gut. I'm just like, where did that? It came out of nowhere. I'm just like, Phil, you worked on Marmaduke of all movies. It was insanity. So I mean, I'm glad we're talking about this movie because this is a better movie. I'd rather associate Phil with.
I had a text.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's just a picture of my brother with some, like, race cars at a race car museum.
He's at a race car museum? What kind of race cars?
I think he went to the NASCAR thing that's this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. In Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else on your notes?
Let's see. I wrote Kissy sucks. I wrote third act is very long. It felt a lot longer on this rewatch.
Yep.
Generic sound effects. The part where Romeo sees Juliet for the first time, he like cringes at her. Since this is a love at first sight story, the first time that the main couple sees each other is supposed to be a big deal, but here they just kind of look at each other.
Yeah.
So I don't like. And then I didn't even get this until like my third rewatch, but he like mouths something, and I just thought they forgot to put in the audio for his line, but he's mouthing her name because the prince says Juliet, and then he's like, Juliet, but just mouthing.
Oh, okay.
And then Juliet does the same thing when she learns Romeo's name. She just like mouths Romeo's name with no dialogue.
Okay, interesting. I
think
did
that
not
was
pick up on
supposed to be like a sweet moment, but it just looked like they forgot to put in the audio.
Yeah, I mean, considering the level of quality we're dealing with here, I wouldn't be surprised. Which is unfortunate. Like, yeah, like we want to appreciate something like that, but I mean, you only have one guy working on this thing. Like, you can only get so far, I guess, with the quality.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I wrote a little bit about the colors and backgrounds.
Those were really good, all things considered. Maybe because I'm a sucker for like purple backgrounds when used correctly, and I think it does add some like atmosphere and mood to those scenes. But yeah, like, and like the contrast of like the purpley and orange like sunsets, like those I think look really good, all things considered.
And I do like how the background colors and stuff change based on the mood of the scene.
Yeah, that's nice. I think it's done far better in something like Across the Spider-Verse, but I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
it seems kind of unfair to to like compare the two, but that just came to my mind right now. So,
Oh well, they're still both 10 out of 10s.
very true, very true. Oh, brother.
Yeah, I was thinking I gave this movie and the other movie we're going to talk about both 10 out of 10s, but like for vastly different reasons.
Yeah, I don't think I'm on the same level of ironically enjoying this as you are. I mean, I can't say I've ever had a bad time watching this movie. I think of the two times I've watched it, I think there's things to appreciate. And I really do respect the hell out of this movie once you realize that, it was Phil doing like the majority of this stuff all by himself.
Hmm.
So for that alone, like I respect the hell out of this movie for that, but I don't really see it being something I would like revisit ironically as opposed to like other movies we've watched on like Wheel Night, for example. Like I can see why you appreciate this movie,
Hmm.
and I'm glad you do.
It is so fun to watch with friends
Yeah, and it
and
is fun to
just
watch with
laugh at.
friends. Yeah,
And maybe
for sure.
sometimes even with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just can't say I'm on the same level as you are, where I would give it a 10 out of 10. I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm not there.
that's fair.
Um, yeah, no, but like there's plenty of other movies I would give a 10 out of 10 for the reasons that you would give this a 10 out of 10.
Hmm.
So I completely sympathize with that
Hmm.
faux show. Um, all right, anything last minute before we wrap
I
up?
want to show this to my Shakespeare professor.
Oh my god, yeah, no,
Maybe
I
I'll
want to.
email her.
Yeah, I want to know what like Shakespeare enthusiasts and professionals think of this movie
Yeah.
specifically.
Hmm.
Oh god, yeah. I mean any sort of Shakespeare adaptation. I mean, I feel like I'd want to hear what a Shakespeare professional would think of Romeo and Juliet just
Oh
cuz
yeah. Oh my gosh, oh
that
my gosh. I took Shakespeare tragedies and romances like last year as a class, and we read Romeo and Juliet as one of our plays assigned for that course. And at the beginning of the class, my professor was like, "So, why did all of you decide to take this class?" And this one guy was like, "So we can talk about the cinematic masterpiece that is Romeo and Juliet."
Oh my
And then we never
god.
did.
Oh my god. People like that exist in real life?
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my
poor
god.
poor Adam.
That is
He
wow.
wasted an entire term.
I mean, trust me, if I was that age, I would absolutely take film classes to talk about terrible movies for sure, but like I don't think I would
Yeah.
ever admit that to like real people.
I think it
Like
was a joke, but I'm not
right.
sure.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he really believes in Romeo and Juliet. Maybe he has a
Yeah.
passion for it. I mean, hey,
Hmm.
whatever.
Anyway, I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah. Well, before we do, I like to tie this into the podcast. So this is a podcast about my collection, and I like to decide on whether I want to add or keep stuff to the collection. I've I remember I tried you. I think you've sent me like a link or two to this on being on DVD.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
not
like
even I would buy this on DVD, to be
really
honest.
okay.
I don't know. I don't think
Wow.
so.
Yeah, no, that's kind of surprising actually.
When it's
I
free
mean,
on YouTube,
it is free on YouTube, yeah, and I assume you don't collect physical, so that's probably why. Like,
hmm.
I collect physical, so I would like to have physical copies of all these movies I love and appreciate. I probably not Romeo and Juliet Seal movie though, because like again, like I said, I don't have the ironic enjoyment that you have for it. I respect it as Phil doing his damnedest to make this an actual movie, but that's where it kind of ends for
Yeah.
me. So it's not one for the collection, but I am glad we talked about it this episode.
Me
So
too.
then we can spread the word because
Yeah.
I feel like people should know about this.
Hmm.
You know, less people should see Marmaduke 2022 as a Phil Nibelink movie, and more people should see Romeo and
Romeo and
Juliet
Juliet
Seal
Seal
movie.
movie.
Yeah, exactly, as a
Romeo
Phil
and
Nibelink
Juliet
movie.
Seal movie.
Exactly. Thank you, Phil, for Romeo and Juliet Seal movie.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, well, speaking of my collection, we do have at least one other movie to talk about that
Woo!
actually is in my collection. That's how we'll tie it into the podcast. So Jess, you wanted to talk about Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, I did. Woo! The equally good movie.
Yeah, the equally good. I mean, it's no Romeo and Juliet seal
It's
movie.
no
Let's
Romeo
be fair.
and Juliet seal movie,
But it's Beauty and the Beast, one of Disney's most acclaimed movies in the past century or so. You know, it's only that. Whatever.
Hasn't Disney only been around for the past century or so?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, Jess, what'd you think of Beauty and the Beast, 1991?
Wow, I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
I know, can you imagine?
Can you imagine a beloved Disney movie liked? Yeah, wow.
I've seen this so many times that I mentioned this in my Letterboxd review, but this time I watched the French dub on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It was still very good. Like right away when I started the French dub, I was like, wow, she sounds just like the original Belle, but in French.
But in French.
You know, she has that kind of like Susan Egan lilt going on.
Right.
I don't know who the French dub voice actress for Belle is, but she was really good. Yeah. Some of the names were changed. Like Cogsworth in the French dub is called Big Ben.
Okay.
Yeah, and instead of Philippe, they call the horse Philibert.
Philibert.
Yeah, like Filbert, but I don't know.
Okay.
But this isn't a review of the French dub, it's a review of the movie. It's good.
It is very good. Yeah, no, I watched the English version because that's what I'm most used to, and I hate the French. So
Valid.
Yeah. I remember watching this as a kid and thinking it was good. And then I didn't watch it for like years because I think we lost the VHS for it. I don't know if we lost it when we moved or we lost it just because we just didn't have it anymore. Maybe it broke and my parents just didn't tell me. But there was like a good chunk of my life where I didn't see this movie. Which is funny because I did see The Enchanted Christmas a lot more because we had that. But now it's switched because I have this on Blu-ray and we've lost the Enchanted Christmas VHS tape. I don't know where that went.
Perfectly balanced.
Yeah, perfectly balanced as all things should be. But I remember watching it again. I was like, I had to be like 18 at the time when I rewatched it. And I had more of like a critical sense of judging a movie. And I loved it a lot more than when I was a kid. I'm like, holy shit, like this is something special. Like it's so good. For a time I did consider it to be my favorite Disney movie. It's gone down slightly to like number 4, but like 4 out of 60 something movies, that's still pretty damn good. So it's not my all-time favorite. I think I appreciate movies like Aladdin and Fantasia a little more, but Beauty and the Beast is something special.
I'm not sure how this would rank in terms of my favorite Disney movies. I have not put as much thought into ranking them as other people I know.
Yeah, suspicious. Who are we talking about? 24 Frames of Nick, of course. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Beauty and the Beast is just not only is it super special because it's like one of the very few animated movies to be nominated for Best Picture, like not just Best Animated Feature, like Best Picture straight up.
Yeah.
It's just so good on its own. Like it didn't like you could tell me like it wasn't nominated for Best Picture and I would probably still assume it was because it's just that prestigious. I feel like it doesn't really. It's not like I feel like when I think of like grand Disney movies, you think of something like Lion King, because like and Lion King obviously is very, very good. Like that has a grand scope to it. I feel like this movie does too, but all it is just two people hanging out in a castle with like people who are like candlesticks and clocks. You know, like it's not like looking at it from an objective standpoint, it's not a very grand movie, but like just the way it's told, the way it's shot, the way it's animated.
Oh yeah, and I love the score and the backgrounds too. Those really stood out to me on this watch.
Oh my god, yeah, no, the animation so good. Like there were so many scenes that are just burned into my memory of like little shots of like when Maurice and Philippe are like walking through the forest, like those are very atmospheric and
Yeah.
very, very good. But like even grand shots of like Belle running through the field and singing like her I
I
Want
want
song.
adventure in the great wide somewhere. Yeah.
Exactly. And then like the shots inside the castle, like when they're like walking through
The
and
neoclassic Baroque castle.
yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's also the scene when like Beast and Belle are like walking through the castle for the first time. He's like, oh, I hope
Oh,
you
you
like it
must never
here.
go into the West. Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, the hit of like it's forbidden, like the echo, it's
Uh-huh.
so good, so good. That's
Yeah.
etched in my memory as well. Like not only is like the animation like very good, but like just the way everything's shot and directed, it's also very good. Like and like the impact of certain scenes are so good. Like I just said, that it's
Mm-hmm.
forbidden line read, so good. So good.
Yeah. And I really noticed a lot more on this viewing too, speaking of that scene, how the Beast and Belle first interact, where like
Mm.
the staff at the castle were making him more angry and kind of like trying too hard to push him into acting a certain way, but then once that all sort of stopped, it became easier for him to talk to Belle.
Yeah, that's a good point. How like, because like y- yes, the his staff are just like obviously pushing him like, oh, this could be the one.
Oh,
This could be
oh,
the
you need to
one.
ask more. You need to act more gentlemanly. Oh, you need, but don't, but piece this here, but do this, but do that. Blah 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 blah. Like just like putting so
Yeah.
much pressure on him. I imagine it's a lot of pressure to have to get someone to fall in love with you within like a certain amount of time, or else everyone will be objects forever and you'll be cursed forever.
Yeah, isn't that like such a like not only is it him he's thinking about, but like the fact that like it's his entire like castle
Yeah, I
staff
wrote that
too.
in my
Like
notes.
that
Why
adds
did
a
the
whole other
enchantress
layer.
curse the staff? They didn't do anything.
I mean, I feel like that I mean that's just one of those like forever punishment thing. And you know what? It's interesting that like characters like Cogsworth and Lumiere and Mrs. Potts, like they don't hold any resentment towards the Beast. I mean, I guess maybe that's a testament to like how forgiving those characters are, but then also I guess
Hmm.
maybe that's just not what the movie's about.
It would have been so interesting if they had shown resentment to the Beast, but I feel like we're getting into too like
Yeah. Yeah, that's when
I
you
want
just
this to be more deep than it is sometimes.
yeah, yeah, but I feel like even though it's not as deep as it probably could be, I feel like what it still achieves is still very good.
Yeah.
And I don't because like I know like not to say that like there's a group of people that hate this movie. This movie's very well beloved.
Yeah.
Obviously the people who like try to uh tear down this movie as something that something it's not is obviously a very small minority, but
Hmm.
I do feel like there is that like kind of
But it
idea that
annoys me.
it does it annoys me too, like the elephant in the room, the Stockholm syndrome debate,
Hmm.
but like yeah, even just like the whole like holes in like the enchantress's curse of it being like, oh, you were rude to me, I'm gonna turn you into a beast
You
on
wouldn't
your
let a
21st
stranger into
year.
your house when you were 11.
Yeah, technically he was 11 when this all happened, even though in the Enchanted Christmas, the flashback shows him being the exact same age he is in current day. It's
Is he?
just,
I
well,
can't
yeah,
tell what age he's supposed to be in the Enchanted Christmas flashback. Also, I refuse to accept the Enchanted Christmas as canon.
maybe that's right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to include that as canon because where was Forte? Where was Fife? Where was
Hmm.
the axe guy? Where was Bernadette Peters' character?
Bernadette Peters' angel.
Yeah. And where was Gaston in Enchanted Christmas? These are
Yeah!
important things we have to know.
Gaston was the only character left untouched by the direct-to-DVD sequels.
That is
Good.
true. That is a good thing.
Hmm.
A very, very good thing. But yeah, I guess that's just one of those things. It's one of those things you don't necessarily need to think about. I feel like that's why at the beginning you don't actually see the scenes of him like rejecting the enchantress as like actually animated. Like it's told in like these it's told in like these colored glass, like
The stained glass windows.
stained
They're very
glass,
pretty.
the stained glass windows. Not only is that aesthetically cool to look at, but like I feel like that kind of shows the it kind of like reinforces that it's not this, like the opening is not really something you need to think about. Like you just need basic setup things, like basic things to set the story up, and
I love
that's
the
it.
music for the opening. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
it
it's
opens
so
with this
good.
like da 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 bum. And
Yeah,
I was
it's
like, I
very good.
recognize that tune. That's from If I Can't Love Her from the musical, except it probably like the order was the other way around. But
Maybe it was, yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, it's very aesthetically pleasing. It's very, I think it's well told for what it is. Yes, it, again, like we were just saying, there's some holes in these stories, but again, I think because of the way it's told, the reason it's told that way is because the focus is on the characters. The focus is on Belle and the Beast kind of coming together. That's why it's called Beauty and the Beast.
yeah.
Like the movie is about Beauty and the Beast coming together and forming a relationship. That's the meat
Yeah.
of the story. That's what we should be focusing on. And that's what the movie does focus on. And I think that works out for the best.
Yeah.
It doesn't try to add on little things that it doesn't need to. Cough, cough. The 2017 live action movie, cough, cough.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Never do. It's very bad. It's the only thing
Okay.
the only thing I've retained from that is the ironic enjoyment I get from that one scene where there's a guy who's just like,
girl to read.
isn't one enough? Oh, very bad movie. Not good. Not good.
I loved Belle as a kid because I loved reading always.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you know what? I love Belle in this movie too. I think I'm more of a fan of Ariel as my favorite Disney princess, but Belle would probably be a close second for me. She's like I think for what she is, she works really well. She's like this nice kind of quiet character. But you definitely buy that she wants a little more. But you don't see her as selfish though for wanting more, you know?
Yeah.
Because
she just
I feel
wants
like
friends, you know?
yeah, she wants friends. She wants friends to talk about with reading.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, and she's the only character in the town that wears blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me when I want to wear blue, but my town wants to wear orange.
Yeah, because they're French peasants. Yeah. Can we talk about Gaston?
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about Gaston. We alluded to him earlier being the only character untouched from the sequels standpoint. Which you bring up a very good point. He is the only character not ruined by the sequels, and I appreciate that.
Gaston's character introduction in this oh my gosh. I noticed it more on this rewatch too, how he just like shoots the bird that's flying beautifully in the opening song. And then LeFou is like, no beast alive stands a chance against you, and no girl either for that matter. And I'm like,
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. Wow. That's brilliant, actually. Wow. Yeah. Well, I actually like the idea of like you don't see him necessarily. You see like what he does. Like the first thing he does is shoot that goose in the sky, but you just see like the goose fall. Like that's his introduction. You're just like, oh, like his destruction is like speaks more for him. And then eventually you do see him. He's like this.
Yeah, he just steps out of the shadows.
Steps out of the shadows.
It's very villainous introduction for a character who also feels like they could have been set up as the hero.
Yeah, that's always an interesting thing. I remember the Nostalgia Critic said that like in his Disney December review like years ago. He's just like, yeah, in any other movie like Gaston would be the hero. And I remember like really thinking about that. I'm like, I guess he would be. But like even then like he is unabashedly the villain in the movie. Like you get that instantly. But yeah, I guess like if it was framed in a different way, yeah, he would be the hero, absolutely. And he kind of is, because he is the hero to the town.
My
like
only crime was love.
Yeah, there's never a scene where like the town turns against him. Like he dies essentially the town hero,
right?
Which I think is really interesting. But again, like that's not what the movie's about. The movie's not about like changing the minds of these townspeople. The movie is about Belle and the Beast forming this relationship. So I think with what little we get of Gaston, I say little, we do get a lot with Gaston that I think is very good. I think what we do get is brilliant and it works, and we don't need any more from what we see, which is why he doesn't come back in the sequels, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I love his villain song.
Right.
It's
Which
so
one?
good.
The Gaston or the mob song?
Oh yeah, I guess there would be two different songs. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the Gaston specific song, like the
Okay.
actual villain song of his.
Yeah.
Because I like that because he barely sings in it. He does sing in it, obviously, but like I like how it's mostly the townspeople and LeFou, like, massaging his ego,
Just
essentially.
hyping him up.
Exactly. Like that is such a good way. That is such a good way to characterize him, is like having all these other people like, massage his ego for him, and that's his song. Like that's such a clever way of delivering this villain song, I feel like,
Yeah. He's like, I'm the best and everybody loves me, and the Beast, meanwhile, in his castle is like, oh, everyone hates me and everything sucks.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. They're very good parallels. How like everybody loves Gaston, nobody loves the Beast. So good, so good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're pointing these things out, because these are things I haven't even realized.
English
but like I'm
lit
glad.
major. Woo!
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was an English major in college, but I've done fuck all with that.
Aww.
That's okay. No, but like, but no, like it's good that I'm like discovering these new things. Like that just shows that there's like so much to this movie to discover. There's just a lot to it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so brilliant. Among other things, obviously.
Yeah. And the Gaston song also kind of sets up the mob song, because he has everyone in the town on his side already, so it doesn't take a lot for him to like rouse them to action. Like,
yeah,
have you seen that Tumblr post that's like, commands my followers to attack?
I have not. Please explain.
Okay, no, that's just what I was thinking of, because he's got all these followers already, and then he just commands them to attack.
Yeah, I mean, well, think about it, because like Abel at first almost convinces them, because like there's that one woman who, like, when she's just like, show me the Beast, and she like shows the mirror to everybody, and like there's a woman who's just like, oh, is he dangerous? And she starts to explain like, no, he's kind, he's gentle, like, please, and like she almost convinces them, but then Gaston steps in and is just like, if I didn't know any better, I think you had
feelings for this monster. He's not
Yeah.
the monster, Gaston. You are.
See, that I got as a kid. Even as a kid, I'm just like, oh, I get it. He's a monster. Yeah, no, it's but like you're right though. He always had the upper hand with like the townspeople for sure. Because I mean, it's Gaston. Nobody's like Gaston.
No one. Yeah. I love the memes of that song also.
Oh my god, yeah, 4 dozen eggs every morning to get large.
Help me get large.
It's so good. It's both really funny, because like, yeah, there's so many memes surrounding that song, whether it's like and then like there's that very famous screenshot of like the smear of like him like stretching out his arms, and it says like Disney World or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's classic internet right there.
Yeah. But the animation for that song too is so expressive.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The facial expressions in this movie are also great.
As you can see, I have biceps to spare. But yeah, no, you're right. In general, like the facial expressions in this movie are so good. And I mean, they're also really funny. Well, no, that's more so from Belle's Magical World with the Derp Bell face. That's the one I was thinking of. No, but like unironically in this movie, yes, for sure. There's so many, because they're so expressive. Like, there's this one shot I'm trying to remember where like there's like this one shot of like the Beast and like how he's able to like go through so many emotions. There's that one, like the one I'm thinking of is when like it's after their very famous dance room scene where they're like out on the balcony.
When he releases her.
Yeah, when he releases her, and he's he struggles, like you see like the struggle in him, like being like, oh, I have to let her go, but like ultimately he does decide, you have to go, like, and I think that's such a powerful scene, because there is that little bit of like kind of almost holding back from letting her go,
Yeah,
but then
he's very
ultimately,
conflicted too.
yeah, because he is conflicted. I remember, and I can't remember who pointed this out, but not to shit talk the remake again, but I kind of have to. There's that exact scene, like in the movie, the Beast just lets her go, like flat out. He's just like, go.
Oh,
Yeah, he's just like there's no like
wow, that's
hold
underwhelming.
up. Yeah, there's no hang up. There's no emotional hang up for him. He's just like, just go, like whatever. It's just like, oh
Like,
wow, what?
you are giving up. You are willingly giving up your only chance to become a human again for the person you have fallen in love with, and you have like no strong emotions about it.
Yeah, that's what I like about this movie is that like it's not like a big blow up scene where he lets her go. Like it's just it's
Mhm.
a very quiet, very subtle performance for sure. But like that's all you really need is just
Yeah.
this quiet contemplation for like a couple of seconds, and then he's like, you
And then he
should
just
go.
roars
And then he roars.
because he's in
So
pain.
good. Because he's in pain. That's when he lets it out.
Oh
Oh,
my
it's so
gosh.
good.
What breaks my
Yes.
heart is at the fight later when Gaston shows up and the Beast just like stands there and lets Gaston shoot him with the arrow and doesn't fight back until he sees Belle and is like, "Oh, she came back." I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh my such a good scene. Such a good
Mhm.
scene. Yeah, no, that's so you're so right though. How he's like
Mhm.
especially when like they're breaking in and he's just like just let them come.
Just let
Like
them come in. Whatever.
I don't even care anymore. Yeah. And
Let
then
the
once Belle
world
shows
be
up.
done with me. I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
keep referencing the musical.
I mean, you always reference musicals. That's fine.
Yeah. And this is a really good musical.
It is very
I
much
mean,
so.
I'm not talking
Yes.
about the musical adaptation here. I actually think the movie's better than the musical adaptation, but I do like a couple of the
Okay.
musical adaptation songs.
Yeah. So I've only ever seen like when it comes to Beauty and the Beast adaptations, I've seen this one. I've seen the 2017 one. I think I've seen one from years ago that was like um a a bootleg of Beauty and the
Mhm.
Beast.
The musical?
I don't think it was a musical. I think it was
Oh.
just like I think it was purely made to be a bootleg that scummy studios could sell because the Disney one was
Oh,
so
like a
hot at the
mockbuster?
time. Yeah, like a mockbuster, exactly. Um but yeah, so I have not seen any musical adaptations of Beauty and the Beast. So, but you say
Mhm.
like this one is superior?
Yeah, there is a Disney musical. No, I said the movie is superior to the Disney musical adaptation.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. Like the movie is superior to the musical.
Also,
Um
James and I have talked about this a lot before, but the Disney stage shows are like proof that you can insert new songs into pre existing Disney movie musicals and still have them work,
that's true
unlike a
because
lot of the live action remake songs.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, well, because the live action remakes are just bad ideas to begin with. Whereas
Yeah.
I feel like with stage musicals, you get it's a different medium from a movie. So
Hmm.
like, I feel like you still have that like creative freedom in trying something new. Whereas like when it's a live action movie, you're taking away that creative freedom, so like that's why it doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
But I mean there's
Uh huh.
numerous reasons why Disney live action remakes don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good news is this movie is still superior to the live action remake. I mean, not that
Woo.
there was ever doubt in my mind that it wouldn't be.
Hmm. I might check out the live action remake out of curiosity on Disney Plus or something. I don't know.
I guess it's worth watching at least once just to
Yeah.
know like where it fails
Can you
and
believe
where
to this day I've never seen a Disney live action remake?
I mean, that's probably for the best
Yeah.
because they're not even funny bad, you know? Like a lot of them are just
Mm.
boring. They're just
Mhm.
it literally is just a case of, oh, it's this is the original, but like worse in every way possible. Like I know some people have their specific ones that they think are better than the original, but I seriously cannot think of a single live action remake that is better than the original
We
in
have
any
Beauty
way.
and the Beast at home.
For real.
The two songs I love the most from the musical adaptation are Home and If I Can't Love Her.
Hmm.
Neither
Who
of them
sings
were in the live
those?
action remake.
Yeah, no, they
So
wouldn't have
Home
been.
is the song that Belle sings once she first becomes the Beast's prisoner, about like
Mm-hmm.
trying to make this new place home, and like can she find home in this place, and blah blah blah. And in some versions of the song she has a line where where she's like, and to think I complained of that dull provincial town, you know? And
Mm.
it's very moving, very beautiful. And then If I Can't Love Her is the song at the end of Act 1, I think, where the Beast is like angst.
Mm. Angst.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I mean, I can kind of see those working. I feel like the emotions those songs are probably trying to convey are still conveyed very well within the movie.
Mhm.
So I can probably see that just kind of like just really just adding to the runtime. Really, I think
Yeah.
those. I don't know. I have not seen the musical, so I can't really judge it. But
Mhm.
from the way you're describing it, I'm sure they're good songs on their own. It's just that I
Yeah.
think what this movie establishes, it does just fine.
Yeah, definitely. It's very tightly paced. I was watching it and thinking about the Yummo cut, where you insert Belle's magical world in the Enchanted Christmas, and I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out where the seams would be.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking about that too.
Like,
Actually,
where
I'm
would you
just
get
like,
to a logical stopping point where you're like, okay, this is probably where the other direct to DVD sequels take place? Like, huh?
yeah. Would it be the scene where, because like, would you like put like Enchanted Christmas in between, um,
Something
like
there in Beauty and the Beast, maybe?
yeah, maybe, but like, because
Because,
like the point of
yeah.
something there is that like, oh, this hasn't been here before. But like in
But
Enchanted
in
Christmas
Enchanted
and Belle's
Christmas, it's
Magic,
definitely not there.
it's definitely not there.
They
But
don't
like,
get along at all in those
yeah,
movies.
yeah, it's just kind of weird.
Hmm.
No, you're absolutely right, and I feel like, I feel like the troubling thing with that is that you don't know how long it's been. So like
Hmm.
that's why they kind of get away with, oh, we don't know how long she's been
Yeah.
in the castle.
You
So
know
that's
that
why we have.
he saves her from the wolves on her first night there, which is kind of funny to me because I
Yeah,
was watching this like, wait a minute. He tells her not to go to the West Wing. She goes to the West Wing immediately, like after dinner on the same night. She runs away and then he saves her and then they go back. Like this was all in the process of like her just having arrived.
well also like if she just arrived, like it was still like relatively contemporary weather, but then like now it's like a snowstorm when she goes and gets saved by the wolves. Like
Contemporary
that all
weather?
happened in like a contemporary, like could like 69-degree weather, just like kind of
Okay.
fine.
Contemporary means modern.
Yeah, no, I that was a malapropism on my part.
Yeah.
That happens a lot in this podcast. I just say things that I think makes me sound smart, but I just sound like a dumbass.
No,
Uh,
that's okay. I do
oh
that
no,
sometimes too.
yeah, no, I'm glad you corrected me because that would have been embarrassing.
Mm.
um, yeah, no, so yeah, it's just kind of it is a weird couple of scenes where you're just like, how long does this actually last for?
Mhm.
But like, I feel like because it's kind of vague, like I like how it's vague in this movie,
Yeah.
because you just need to know that time is passing. You don't need to know exactly how long. But then when you start including Enchanted Christmas and Belle's Magical World to be like, oh, this is how long it's been. It's like, okay, well now this is pathetic. Like,
Yeah.
how long was Maurice looking for her? Like, where does that line up in the canon?
Mhm. And
Uh,
also it just made it that much more like weird that none of the furniture, the castle staff try to get Belle and the Beast together in either of those movies. Because here they're
that's a good
constantly
point
offering
too.
their advice and opinions on how the relationship is progressing, and then in Belle's magical world, they're off doing their own thing. Like Lumiere has a date with the feather duster, whatever.
Yeah,
They
and then
barely
of
interact with the beast at all.
yeah, and then you remember that like Belle's Magical World was supposed to be like a backdoor pilot for a TV show with these characters. It's
Hmm.
just like, how long were you planning on doing that?
I
Like,
don't know.
because like again, like there's only so much time you can have in the castle
Yeah.
before it actually becomes Stockholm
They're in a
syndrome.
race against time to stop the curse. They don't have
That
time for
too.
13 more adventures.
That too, yeah. Like they're in a race against race against the clock with the fucking rose. Like, yeah, like
Hmm.
you really can't have like a 13 season show with characters just like being within like a certain set of time, and it
Yeah.
doesn't work. Like if
Eh.
you really were going to have a sequel, they should have just done after Happily Ever After, but I get it, they couldn't have because they wouldn't have been in their marketable
Furniture forms.
furniture
They
forms,
could have
so I
just
get
like
it.
did what Tangled the series did and have them get magic again. Like I haven't
It
even seen
happened
Tangled the
again?
series, but I know in that movie like Rapunzel's hair turns blonde and long again for some reason.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean in that
because
series.
that's her marketable version. It's
That's
just
her
like
marketable version.
remember when she had the long golden hair? It's like, of course I remember. It's like
Yeah.
because I've seen Tangled. Yeah, no. So I get why it is the way that it is, but you know,
Hmm.
I feel like there's ways they could have done it better.
Yeah.
Take that, Disney. I'm criticizing your shitty Disney direct DVD
Hmm.
sequels.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of almost don't want to say that it would have been impossible to make a Beauty and the Beast series that takes place while Belle is at the castle, like James said, because I feel like I want to always be on the side of no bad ideas, only bad executions, or
Hmm.
mostly.
Right.
But man,
Wasn't there a Beauty and the Beast series though in like the 80s?
I
And like
don't remember.
that's how Ron Perlman got his start. I'm pretty sure there was like a Beauty and the Beast series like in the 80s.
Hmm.
Or maybe it
Here's
was a movie.
Here's how
No,
you make it work, in my opinion. Set it between something there, but before the Beauty and the Beast song, and show that that Belle and the Beast are like tentatively forming a friendship. Show the Beast being conflicted over whether to let Belle go. Like plant the seed of that idea in his head so that it feels more earned at the place where it happens in the movie. I don't know. Have Belle
yeah.
talk about Maurice at some point. Like I'm warming up to
Okay.
this idea, but I don't want to stay here. Kind of inner conflict. There's a lot
Yeah,
you
exactly.
could maybe do.
Also, I found out, yes, there was a Beauty and the Beast TV series in 1987, and yeah, it had Ron Perlman in it and Linda Hamilton from Terminator. What is
Huh?
this?
Oh wow.
Wow, this is okay.
Terminator
Good.
references in both of these movies. Nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. We brought up Terminator twice. Nice. Um, uh, I would be remiss not to bring up the gigantic elephant in the room, considering Beauty and the Beast.
You mean the gigantic helicopter in the
The
room?
gigantic helicopter in the room.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, because technically, yes, James brought it up in his Disney sequel ranking with Enchanted Christmas. I almost said Enchanted Helicopter because my brain is just that I have that much brain rot when it comes to this meme. But because technically it did start with the because I was watching Enchanted Christmas in my
Hmm.
server with a couple of friends, and one of my friends was just like, hey, did we ever tell you about this? And I'm like, no. And then history was made after that. um but it is technically the images that it comes from are from this movie because
Yep.
it's the very famous dance scene, the very famous ballroom dance scene where they're
Maybe
dancing.
all this time.
When I was watching it, I was a little afraid. I'm like, oh god, did that meme like ruin the scene for me? But it didn't. Like
Yeah,
the scene is, I mean, because it's a testament to like, you know, how good the scene is.
it's
Like not
very
only is it,
beautiful.
yeah, not only is it very beautiful, it was like revolutionary for the time because it's
Hmm.
all because like the room is 3D rendered, but then like Beauty and the Beast
Wow.
themselves are like,
Uh-huh.
you know, 2D. So like it's a marrying of the 3D and 2D animation, and it works really well. Like, you know, when I think of 2D and 3D combining and it doesn't work, I think of,
The music box in Ariel's beginnings.
oh, Ariel's beginning music box. That's another terrible example. Oh god, yeah, that's ugly.
Oh,
I
that's
was
bad CG.
I was thinking of the Sinbad movie from DreamWorks from like the early
I
2000s.
haven't
That
seen it.
has it's I mean it's not the worst DreamWorks movie, but it's like the at the very least the combination of 2D and 3D animation is just very bad in that movie. It's very very bad.
Darn.
Yeah, no. And this movie came out like a full decade before that movie, and
Hmm.
so and this looks a lot better.
Yep.
You know, because it feels like this is part of that era where like the inclusion of CGI in a movie was a lot more restrained. and so like people like, you know, CGI artists had to be a lot more clever with how they implemented into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you get, you know, because this is around the time of like Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, where like there are CG elements in the movie, but like they're used a lot more sparingly and a lot more cleverly. And so those have aged a lot better. And I feel like this movie can fall into that same camp because, again, there's the scene when like, you know, the ballroom is like kind of like you have like it looks like a camera is like, you know, going all over the place. It's like very beautifully done, but like you never feel cheated. Like it feels very natural the way that like the characters are moving within this computerized scene, I feel like.
Okay, yeah. I also wrote in my notes that this time while I was watching it, I noticed when they pan up to the Cupids, I was like, OMG, is that a reference to the fact that the original Beauty and the Beast novel was inspired by the story of Cupid and Psyche? But I might be
Really?
reaching here.
I mean, I would maybe like someone on the art department was just like, hey, let's put Cupids in there as like a reference.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like maybe because like it's that Baroque period that the castle was
Yeah.
built in, that's probably
And
what
they're just more
is.
general like symbols of love, so
Yeah, that too, general symbols of love. But maybe at least one person probably thought of that. I mean, again, I didn't because I had no idea what this was. So no, but that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. I want to read the original Beauty and the Beast novel someday because we think of fairy tales as being like super old and medieval, but this one's only like from 200 years ago or so.
Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know there's like a live action French film that's like black and white and from the 40s on Beauty and the Beast that I've been meaning to check out because it's like on the Criterion channel or something like that. Um, yeah, I feel like there's other like versions of Beauty and the Beast I need to check out. But
Right.
I mean, even though there are other versions I want to check out, I feel like I'll still love and appreciate this version because of how good it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And because of
And
how
it's
well
so
made
iconic.
it is. Iconic, yeah, that's a great way of describing it.
Mm-hmm. It's just like everybody knows it.
Yeah, everybody knows this
Everybody
movie.
knows it's good.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it when I was a kid. I mean, listen, as a kid, my favorite movie of all time was Thomas and the Magic Railroad. So the fact that I could still pick up on this movie being good, you know, that's a testament to how good it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so iconic. Is there any other notes you had for it before we wrap up?
I like the line where Belle's like he's changed somehow because it really shows that this is a story about like the Beast changes his behavior rather than like what the critics sometimes claim that Belle is like accepting toxic behavior from the Beast, just learning to live with it.
Yeah, that's a good point because like in the beginning, he's obviously always on all fours. He's like kind of crouched and slouched a lot, whereas like and then later in the movie when he's like dancing like he's upright, he's like being more presentable, he's smiling. Like yeah, there are huge changes to the character between the
Mm-hmm.
beginning and to where they leave off. Like yeah, there's huge changes. Like that's
It's
very
almost
important.
like being treated with kindness brought out the best in him and made him feel more like a human again. Wow.
It's almost like these people haven't actually watched the movie. Or they're just saying these things to be different, to be like,
Mm.
Beauty and the Beast isn't actually that great. It's like, yeah, okay, buddy, sure.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh, brother.
Ooh boy. Oh, I wrote in my notes also, how is he that good at juggling with reference to Gaston juggling the eggs?
Yeah, that was he's eating that's what happens when you eat 4 dozen eggs every morning to help him get large. Well, actually now he's upgraded to 5 dozen eggs, so now he's roughly the size of a barge.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in that Gaston is causing the egg shortage in the town conspiracy theory.
Oh, right, because there's that woman who's like, I need 6
I need
eggs.
6 eggs. That's too expensive.
Ah, but did you know? But that scene where the guy says that's too expensive. That's the guy in the background when he's like talking about like a pottery thing. Like that's different from the 6 eggs.
Huh.
I think. Yeah, no, because yes, it comes right after when that lady says, "I need 6 eggs."
Right. Okay, I
But
didn't
like
know
it's
that actually.
yeah, because like it's a different shot of like Belle in like a different part of town, and there's like a guy there's like a
Oh, I
guy
thought that
selling
was the same
pottery.
like dialogue in between those two characters this whole time. Oh, don't
Yeah.
I feel silly?
I mean, it's just a theory, you know. I'm sure.
Hmm.
I mean, the woman did look disheveled that she needs 6
Hmm.
eggs. So, like, maybe. I'm sure. I'm sure there
Hmm.
is an egg shortage thanks to Gaston eating 5 dozen eggs. Like,
Yeah.
it's entirely possible. Gaston really was the villain the whole time.
Yeah, this is the worst thing Gaston's ever done.
This is the worst thing he's ever done.
I like how Gaston almost survives at the end. Like the Beast was willing to let him go and was just like, "Get out," but then he just had to climb up there and stab the Beast in the side, and that was what caused him to fall off the castle.
Yeah, it's not even just the Beast like throwing him off and straight up killing him. Like it is due to Gaston's own hubris of
Hmm.
wanting the Beast as a trophy.
Which ties back to his character introduction. He's
Exactly.
a hunter.
Yeah, he's the hunter, and it's his own hubris that gets it because he's the one who falls accidentally. Like the Beast has nothing to do with it,
Yeah.
and so then
And
he
then the
falls.
Beast also would have fallen too, but Belle saved him.
But Belle saved him. Yeah, and then you get the very iconic shot of Gaston when he falls. You see the skulls in his eyes.
Yeah.
I've paused that so many times at that scene, and
Hmm.
I nail it every time. I'm able to like pause it pretty well, right on the frame. But yeah, no, that's a really cool detail. Just seeing the skulls in his eyes before he like completely falls. So then you're just like, oh, that means he dead.
F.
F in the chat for Gaston, the town hero, the only one who mattered.
No one dies like Gaston, falls from high like Gaston. Nobody is the deadly sin of pride like Gaston.
Oh, you just come up with that? Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, that's another fun thing about the Gaston song. You can kind of just riff on it endlessly.
Yeah, because it's like it's a really good song, but then it's
Hmm.
also a good
Simple
song
rhyme
to
scheme,
parody.
simple premise.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
Did you see the like COVID-19 one from a few years back?
I don't think I
No
did.
one
No.
cleans like Gaston, quarantines like Gaston, stops the spread of COVID-19 like Gaston.
Well, I'm glad Gaston was able to stop COVID. Only he could. Oh man. The only character not ruined by the sequels.
Hmm.
That's a good thing. Thank you, Gaston.
Thank you. 3 cheers for Gaston.
Yeah. All right. Uh I got nothing else. So unless you have a couple other notes.
I have a lot of notes, honestly.
Okay, okay. I
But
mean,
they're a
we could
little repetitive. I don't know. The
yeah, just
background look cool. Like I said already, they have the impressionist. Like you can see the brush strokes, and it looks like
mhm.
Monet. You know,
Yeah,
or
no,
the
very
18th
true.
century French Impressionism. Woo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
It's just
very,
me,
very
or maybe that's
clever.
just me being pretentious
No,
again.
I feel like there has to be influences like that. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, the details that go into this movie, like, it has to be intentional.
Yeah. And then, oh, I wrote that the mob song sounds way more operatic in French, like in the French dub. When Gaston's like,
Mm.
"It's time to take some action," but that sounded operatic already. But when I'm listening to the French dub, I just feel like I'm watching Bizet. Um,
I mean, I feel like because it's like a very climactic song, like you're going into the climax of the movie, like it has to be
hmm.
like big and like super, super important sounding. Like, so I
Yeah.
can kind of see that.
Hmm. I
Which,
also
by the
parts
way,
of it reminded me of Les Mis too.
you know what? I still haven't seen Les Mis, but I'll take your word on that one.
Yeah.
But it's funny that climax. Like
Hmm.
I remember being like super freaked out by it as a kid,
Yeah.
like in a good way. Like I'm glad I was, because like even though I knew deep down, I'm like, all right, like this crazy town. They're going up against these like enchanted furniture. Like of
Hmm.
course they're gonna get their asses kicked.
How did nobody
And
know about the
yeah,
castle though?
yeah. no, how did nobody know about the castle? Yada yada. But, like, and
Why
like
did
I
nobody
get it.
check
Like,
on the beast? What is he even the prince of?
yeah, exactly. But like also like yeah, I get it. They're the villains, so like of course they're gonna get their asses kicked. Like I get it. But like even still, like there was some like real gruesome violence that like
Yeah.
there's that one guy who gets like his head like bashed in by the drawers and like all his teeth fall out.
I don't know.
There's
It's
that
just sort of goofy slapstick, I guess. I didn't like
it
the
is.
slapstick that much. I felt like it
Yeah.
undercut the tension of the mob song.
Yeah, because it just makes him into sort of a joke. Like I
Yeah.
totally get that. I mean, I'm a sucker for slapstick. Like I still think it's really funny. Like as a kid, I was freaked out by this. I was freaked out by the guy who gets like rolled up
Yeah.
and like swallowed by that chest, like implying that that dude's just straight up dead. Like I'm just like, ugh.
Really, I
Like
thought that stuff was like for the kids. Like, haha, don't worry about the ominous song. We're doing the funny, silly cartoon violence now.
No, that is 100% what that was for. I
Mhm.
just think it's funny that like even as a kid, even though that scene was supposed to be for me because I love slapstick, I was still freaked out by it because I'm like, these people are like straight up getting hurt. Like this is kind of messed up. Like
Yeah.
LeFou gets like his ass stabbed by like scissors. Like oh, like
They're a murderous mob, though.
no, I know. Like I completely sympathize with the enchanted furniture. Like I'm on their side. The mob is totally asking for it by coming into the castle like unprovoked. They are absolutely at fault. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
objectively, it's a little frightening to see. Like it's
Yeah,
like
that's
that
true.
scene. It's like the scene in A Bug's Life when Hopper like gets his comeuppance when like he gets fed to the baby birds at the very end. Like
Mhm.
he's the villain. He absolutely deserves it. It's still freaky to see like the villain begging for his life as he's being
Okay,
eaten
yeah.
alive by birds. So
Gaston
like
does
that.
beg for his life a little bit when the beast has him over the
Yes.
ledge. But then the beast
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
listens, so.
Yeah, exactly. Like objectively, it freaked me out as a kid, but like as an
Mhm.
adult, I appreciate that. I'm
I
just
don't
like,
know.
no, it's
I
it's
can't take that
it's
scene
funny.
seriously. It has a Wilhelm scream in it.
Oh, yeah, the Wilhelm scream is like the one thing. Look, I like a Wilhelm scream in something like Star Wars or Indiana Jones, but like when it's in something like Beauty and the Beast and it's obvious, or like if it's in something like nowadays, like if you have a Wilhelm scream nowadays, it's just like, dude, cut it out, please.
Yeah.
Like I get it. I
I
love the
would have
Wilhelm scream.
expected it to be in Romeo and Juliet Seal movie more than this.
Yeah, like I don't know, like there's a certain level of prestigiousness I feel like it shouldn't be showing up in Beauty and the Beast. I don't know.
Mhm.
Or like if you're gonna have it in something that's not a Lucasfilm production, make it a lot more subtle. Like it like stands out in Beauty and the Beast because like it's so you obviously hear it, you know what it is, and so it kind of just it does take you out of the movie because you're just like nobody actually screams like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally.
I don't know. The bit at the end where Belle thinks the beast is dead still gets me every time.
Oh yeah, no, it's such a good scene. How she's the one who finally admits like her love for him.
Yeah.
And you totally buy it because he has changed. Like she's not just saying that because it's the climax of the movie, like we're wrapping this up, she has to admit her love for him. Like you actually buy that she is devastated and that she actually did form a relationship with him. Absolutely.
I also wrote in my notes, stop blaming yourself. This was a reference to the number of times when Belle says like something along the lines of, this is all my fault.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Like you were trapped in your own house, in your own basement, which, wait a minute, she was trapped in her basement. They were trying to get out of the basement
couldn't they get
doors.
out?
Why couldn't they get out of like the regular doors? Like
It locks from the outside, apparently.
I guess. I don't know. I get it.
Whatever.
Like they're supposed to be left back behind because so then Chip can save them
Chip can save them with the fancy axe contraption.
Yeah, the axe contraption. Like, all right,
Yeah,
whatever.
That's funny. That's
yeah,
funny.
it is funny.
Like, wow, crazy old Maurice's invention was useful.
Crazy
It saved the day.
Exactly.
We came in here last night raving.
Yeah. I was thinking of that scene. I was thinking of that YouTube poop when like that scene came on. Earlier, raving. Oh, such a classic. Such a classic movie. All right. Can I talk about this Blu-ray I own it on?
Sure.
All right. So I'm glad you chose this because this is a movie I own on Blu-ray. the 25th anniversary edition Blu-ray, to be precise, part of the signature Walt Disney collection. Hey, look at that. I like this because it comes with different versions of the movie. So it comes with obviously the original theatrical cut, but then it also has the special edition, which adds in that song that the
Human
Furniture
Again?
sang. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I
And the
don't
scene
think.
where Belle reads Romeo and Juliet.
Oh my
Wow.
God, you're right. Yeah, it includes those scenes. I mean, I'm indifferent to whether those scenes are included. I don't really remember the special edition cut really impressing me, like the song "Human Again" impressing me in any way. Like when I have seen it,
Yeah.
and I don't really remember much of it. So I'm glad it was cut because I do prefer the original theatrical because I feel like the pacing is just perfect enough for that for it to work like that.
See, I don't like Human Again, but I like the scene of Belle reading to the Beast, so I'm at an impossible impasse.
Which do I choose? Yeah, no. But I'm glad this includes both versions because I like, the idea of that, of having a choice so that you as the consumer can choose. You're just like, am I in the mood to watch the special edition today, or am I in the mood to watch the theatrical cut today? Like, if more Blu-rays and physical media was like that, where you had a choice in the matter, then I'd be okay with there being multiple versions of a movie. But, some people just only want to make things more difficult, unfortunately. But that's fine, George Lucas. But anyway, I really like this Blu-ray. I think it looks nice. This is an example of a Blu-ray I did not rewatch necessarily this time around, but because I watched the version I watched on Disney Plus, but I have seen this enough times on this Blu-ray that I know for a fact that I love the way it looks. So I'm confident in wanting to keep it for my collection. I know you said you had never. I know you said you don't collect physical, so I assume you don't own this yourself.
No, I do not.
But would you ever watch it again?
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
I have Disney Plus, so
yeah.
And it was because of Disney Plus I was able to watch the French dub and see the French dub changes.
Well, there you go.
So that was a fun experience.
Yeah, awesome. That's good.
Got to see Big Ben and Philibert.
Big Ben and Philibert.
Yeah, and the little stool, instead of good boy, Maurice is like, oh, petit chien chien. And I was like, oh, little dog.
Little dog. Oh, the French. The French are weird people.
Also, I've mentioned this in my Letterboxd review as well, but there's a point in the French dub where Lumiere just goes, thank you, my lady, in English.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, in Be Our Guest, when he's like, you walked in and oopsie daisy in the original. In the French dub, he goes, thank you, my lady.
Okay. Interesting change, but I guess they wanted it to rhyme somehow.
I was like, huh?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. All right. Jess, we did it. We talked about both movies.
Woo! Yay!
Romeo and Juliet Seal movie and Beauty and the Beast regular movie. We talked about them. So now's the part of the show where you can plug your stuff. So Jess, where can people find you?
My YouTube channel is called Lavender Whale, and my Twitter is at Lavender Whaley. And you should check out my YouTube channel because I made a YouTube poop collab of Romeo and Juliet Seal movie.
Nice. Do you want to plug like your Letterboxd or something?
Oh yeah. What was my Letterboxd called again? I'm gonna pull that up. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jessica Wessica.
Yeah. All these links will be in the description below for people to check out for sure.
Right. Kind of did that as a joke because I was just peer pressured into getting a Letterboxd by all my cinephile friends.
Yeah.
But now I have 173 films on there, so I actually watch more movies than I thought I did.
Hey, there you go. You're losers like us.
Woo!
Part of the losers who on Letterboxd Club. Very good. Welcome to Letterboxd. We hate it here.
Woo!
Just kidding. Anyway, well, thanks for coming on today, Jess. This was good. I'm glad I finally talked about Romeo and Juliet seal movie on the podcast, and I'm glad I came to the conclusion of wanting to keep Beauty and the Beast for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you, the listener, for listening to this podcast. If you want to support the show, give a like, give a comment, listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or YouTube is fine too. We're always on YouTube. You know what else is on YouTube is Romeo and Juliet seal movie.
Ooh,
so
except
that's
for
cool.
the last 5 minutes. It's separate for some reason.
Yeah, well, there's two versions actually. So the version I actually did show people was the version that has the last 5 minutes.
Ah, okay. Isn't
'cause
that
it's-
in lower quality though?
It is in lower quality, but it wasn't that much lower quality. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't notice a difference, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Sorry to
there's
interrupt.
two versions. No, that's totally fine. No, you're right. You're right. You were right. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming on, and always remember, what do you call 500 Capulets at the bottom of the sea?
A good start.
Hey, goodbye, everybody.
Helicopter.
Just